Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, and she's been on fire.
It feels as if y'all have just decided that y'all are going to castrate your constitutional duty and hand it over to someone who is unelected.
I'm a constituent of the Congresswoman. I'm a voter in the 30th district in Texas. I still, that's my homestead there. And yesterday, she had some time. She had some time yesterday and brought a whole lot of receipts yesterday. And so I just want y'all to enjoy the next 5 minutes.
Chair recognizes Ms. Crockett.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. It's the faux outrage for me. It's as faux news that I'm hearing, because somehow you guys, and when I say you guys, I am referring to my Republican colleagues, pretend as if you are the heroes of the story. But let me remind you who set the House on fire. It was y'all. So let me go ahead and handle these receipts, because I know that I always have to have proof, even though I guess our education system is failing us, because it seems like facts don't seem to faze people that vote for y'all. But I'm going to do it anyway. So when we talk about debt, I'd ask for unanimous consent to enter into a record this article that says Donald Trump built a national debt so big, even before the pandemic, that it'll weigh down the economy for years.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you so much. In fact, it talked about the fact that he ran up our debt almost $8 trillion. It was estimated to be $7.8 trillion at that time. And this is it's actually the third biggest increase ever under any presidential administration. So I don't understand how y'all gonna play the heroes. I also want to just kind of be clear about some basic level setting of civics, because it seems like civics is evading us. And listen, Governor, I actually appreciate you. I know that in today's times, for whatever reason, if you got a D or an R in front of your name, it has to be all hostile. Listen, I am a former business owner. If I was not sitting in this seat, I would still have my law firm. But, you know, we have rules, right? So I'm not allowed to practice law. I'm not allowed to do a lot of other things, because ethics decides that that's not really a good thing, to make sure that the American people can trust that I don't have any divided interest. In fact, we do that for people that run our treasury typically. So I'm curious to know if you have an elected treasurer in your state. And you do, actually.
We do.
I know you do, because I looked him up. And I'm curious to know. So it's my guess that he's the one that actually controls all of the treasury systems that you have, correct?
Some of the investments.
He controls some of the investments, but also monies that need to be disseminated by the state, that's done by him, correct?
Department of Management and the Treasurer's Office.
Okay. In the Treasurer's Office.
Two separate agencies.
Okay, but you have an agency that does that, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and as you are having this agency do that, these are people that have some sort of ethics that they have to follow, I'm sure. I'm going out on a limb, because I don't know how anything works in Iowa. I'm just being honest with you.
Yes.
Okay. Here is the deal. I want the American people to understand that Democrats are not against efficiency. In fact, the last time that this country actually ran to the extent that there was a balanced budget and actually there was a surplus, it was a Democrat in the White House. His name was President Clinton. So we are not against this. What we are against is this idea that we will evade the Constitution, or we will evade our own constitutional. In fact, it's not even an invasion. At this point, it feels as if y'all have just decided that y'all are going to castrate your constitutional duty and hand it over to someone who is unelected. It doesn't matter how many cheerleaders he had on the fields campaigning for him. That doesn't mean that he gets to go in and sit atop any of our agencies. And the fact that we had a vote today and we asked to bring him in because we have a constitutional duty, we all took our oath, and maybe some of y'all just don't take it seriously, but I take it seriously when I take an oath to do a job, and my job is to look out and make sure that we don't have any kings or queens in this country. But it seems like y'all have decided that it's going to be Mr. King and his queen, and y'all can pick which one is which. But either way, I want to also talk about, Governor, I'm curious to know if you know the answers to these questions. Which party controls the White House?
Republican.
Which party controls the Senate?
Republican.
Which party controls the House?
Republican.
Is that about what the makeup is in Iowa?
Yes.
And that has allowed you to be able to get your agenda across, correct?
Yes.
And you haven't had to bring in somebody to basically usurp any types of norms because you worked through the process, correct?
Well, I did executive orders,
Yes or no?
2080
Yes or
agreements,
no?
and then went to the
or no? Because
legislature
we've
as
only
well.
got
It wasn't all of the
I'm
above.
going to reclaim my time because I
All of
only
the
got
above.
so much time left.
All of the
I
above.
also want to point out that you specifically talked about that you recently had 3 national declarations for disasters, and I want to enter into the record a unanimous consent. Trump moves to abolish FEMA, shift disaster response to states.
Without objection.
And my
so ordered.
final unanimous consent I'd ask says that Mike Johnson's budget plan is at risk of collapse, even though we know that y'all control all 3 levers of government. So if this is what y'all want to do, then go ahead and clean it up and fix it and just go through the process. And honestly, there's nothing that we will be able to say about it.
Order.
And with that, I will yield.
Ooh, that wasn't the only person who lit the Iowa governor up. Massachusetts Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley also tore into that ass.
By the hour, Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and his enablers advance their extremist, anti-equity, un-American agenda, dismantling decades of civil rights progress, upending livelihoods, incomes, and lives, and adversely affecting something they claim to care about, the GDP. Because all data supports that diversity, equity, and inclusion is actually good business. Governor Reynolds, my Republican colleagues invited you here today to promote what they see as a model of governance. Simply put, Republicans' vision of America is to be more like Iowa. Governor Reynolds, let's learn more about the state. Do you know what percentage of Iowans are white and what percentage are black?
I don't know the exact percentages, no. We're by far a larger percentage of white population.
That's correct. Iowa is 90%
yeah.
white and only 4.5% black. So that is drastically different from the national population. So when Republicans suggest Iowa should be a national model, they're advocating for a government that doesn't reflect our country. So let's talk about what this model of governance actually means in practice. In Iowa, you signed State Senate Bill 2385 to eliminate more than 80 state boards and commissions, including those representing Black Iowans, Latinos, women, people with disabilities, and Asian, Pacific Islanders, communities that are marginalized and vulnerable and have fought for decades to have a seat at the table. Now, Republicans call this fiscal responsibility. I just call it erasure. Governor Reynolds, the Iowa Legislative Services Agency conducted a nonpartisan analysis of that bill. Do you know how much money was saved when you eliminated those commissions?
Actually, it was not about saving money. It was about putting more resources behind the Department of Human Rights so that we could actually provide them more resources for minority communities.
Reclaiming my time. Let me help you with the math. Roughly $112,000 in your state budget was saved. So that is 0.001%, barely a rounding error. So honestly, given your current salary, Iowans would have saved more money just by eliminating your salary. Mr. Chair, I ask unanimous consent to enter the LSA fiscal note into the record.
Without objection, so ordered.
In addition to cutting boards and commissions, Iowa started closing government agencies. Now, this is the same thing that Elon Musk and Donald Trump are trying to do at the national level. Now, Governor Reynolds, let's be clear. I have no problem with Iowans, but I do with your leadership. So let's look at the results, shall we? In Iowa, there have been skyrocketing maternal mortality rates. Mr. Chair, I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record this article titled, "Iowa's Maternal Death Rates Rise as Birthing Units Close."
Without objection, so ordered.
In Iowa, students' test scores have been declining. Mr. Chair, I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record this article titled, "Iowa Scores in 50 State Education Rankings Decline from Years Past."
Without objection, so ordered.
In Iowa, more kids are going hungry. Is this the kind of government efficiency y'all are talking about? Mr. Chair, I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record this article titled Iowa's Food Pantries Hit Record High Numbers This Summer.
Without objection to order.
So let's be clear about what Republicans are actually doing. You are making people poorer. You are making people hungrier, more vulnerable, and gutting their civil rights. These attacks on diversity, equity, and inclusion, they were never about efficiency. They certainly were never about merit. It's just a deliberate, calculated attempt to erase marginalized communities from government while eliminating essential services for workers, families, and the people that we are actually elected to protect. They want a country for and by millionaires that advances white supremacy, and that is the real agenda. And I will do everything I can to speak truth to power and to stand in the way of that. I yield back.
Ooh, Reese. You know, MAGA real mad with them two sisters. They still mad at Representative Crockett. Talked about, what did she say? The white boy, what's a comment on CNN?
Oh, she said the people who are crying are mediocre white men. Is that what we're talking about?
Right, absolutely.
She said white boys.
Yeah, she said white boys. And then was like, and then she's like, I ain't wasting my time with how y'all feel.
Period. And that's the thing. We are not competing for Trump voters. We outnumber Trump voters, period. Not this election, because people stayed home. And so if Democrats ever figured out, let them do them over there. Okay, sure, maybe you could peel off a couple of them talking about how they hospitals are closing, their legs getting chopped off because they ain't got their diabetes medication and shit, and coal mines is closing down. Sure, maybe you could peel off a couple of them. But the reality is that the numbers are on our side. Half the country does not like Donald Trump. He's never, ever cracked 50% favorables in any kind of polling aggregate of his job and his performance. He did not get 50% of the vote in the election. And so what Democrats need to do is what we just saw Congresswoman Crockett, Congresswoman Presley do, which is talk to things that resonate with their base and talk to their base in a way that's authentic and that just doesn't seem like they're all up in the clouds focusing on things that doesn't matter to them. Congresswoman Presley talked about the receipts. Maternal mortality is up, test scores is down. Come on, people going hungry. Those are the kinds of things that people actually care about. And so if people can find some damn conviction and find their voice and stop trying to please everybody ain't going to be with how Jasmine Crockett delivers her message. So then maybe Debbie Dingell will crawl out somewhere and reach those people. You know what I'm saying? But then you have Robert Garcia, you have Greg Caesar, you have Brian Schatz, you have Chris Murphy, we have a diversity of voices in the Democratic Party, and we happen to have the facts on our side. And so the problem just needs to be of us recognizing that our people, the Democratic base, people who vote and people who are disaffected, disillusioned, because they're tired of hearing platitudes and they're tired of hearing people try to get that white woman yoga pants supposedly cares about abortion, never Trump voter, or the diner in the Midwest, and they want you to talk to them. So the more that we see of Jasmine Crockett, the more that we see of Congresswoman Presley, the better off the Democrats are going to be.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. And right now we're accepting investors in our $17 million round to revolutionize the future of social media. Today, for just $399, you can own 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $6.65 a share. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. While the big platforms have grown too massive and disconnected from their users, Fanbase is building a platform where creators and users truly come first. We've already raised $4.8 million from everyday investors who believe in this vision, and now you can join them. This is your chance to invest in a social media tech company with over 1 million users that is disrupting media by allowing anyone to reach all of their following and monetize their content from day one. The market is changing, big platforms are failing to serve their users, and Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now. Invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the future of social media.